All right. Hello, everybody. It's December 19th here. We got one more of these calls before the end of the year. And I've been working on a new ad campaign for taking the hindsight out of 2020. So I just thought that was kind of a cool angle to, to hit it with. Anyway, we're going to open up for questions here. If you've got any questions, I did have one that came in through email from Lewis, who's been with us for a long time. He just couldn't make the call. But he wanted me to kind of go into a little bit on visual search and how I feel about that and the future of that coming into the whole SEO world. So kind of cover that a little bit. What visual search is this is like images playing a role in search. Like a lot of times when you'll search for products or something now, you'll see Google has incorporated images into the search. Even if it's not products, a lot of times you'll see images related to things like travel or wherever visual is really highly associated with the search term. And I got to tell you, those things get a lot of click-through ratios. Another thing is there's kind of a shift going because people are very visual. And I think that this is not something to be ignored by any means because there is definitely a shift toward visual search. And what you'll notice is up at the top of Google, there's a thing called images. When you run a search, you've got a bunch of links across the top for, I think it's all is the standard default. But if you're interested in things like news, for instance, there's a news tab up there. There's also a link for video if you want to just see video results. And there's an image tab. And a lot of people, being as visual of creatures as we are, a lot of people like to see pictures of things. Like you've heard the term, I don't know what I want, but I'll know it when I see it. That's a very visual type of thing. So image search is pretty important. And also in content, one of the things that makes people consume your content is when it's not mundane. If you have a page that's just all text, it's just heavy text, and there's no images, there's nothing on there, it's just text. That's like a workout. That's hard to read. That's like reading a textbook, which nobody really likes that. If they do, they're just kind of crazy. But that's one of the reasons you want to add images, you want to add backgrounds, you want to add things into your web pages to make them visually appealing. It also makes the content easier to consume. It also stretches the content out. You've heard that Google likes longer content. It's not because they like longer content, it's because longer content keeps people on your page longer, as long as they're engaged with it. So there's no better way to engage people with your content than making your content easy to consume. So adding images in there keeps their interest, keeps them moving down through the content. Video is another thing. Video is kind of, I look at that pretty much the same as because it's a visual. Video is great to keep people on your pages too, because they get engaged with your video. They stay, they watch it, they spend time on the page. Another thing, your video and your images, you can actually put calls to action in both of those. Like click the link below to read more or learn more. Or, if you're in the video, click the link to share the video or sign up for my YouTube channel. You always want calls to action everywhere because it moves people to click. You just want to make sure they're clicking in your site, keeping them on there, keeping them engaged. That will help your rankings overall, and it also gives you another avenue of getting traffic onto your site. If you don't have any images, you're not going to show up in the image search. So of all the people that are searching on Google, the ones that are searching images, you're just out. You're not even playing that game. It's like you didn't even show up to the party. So images, the way to optimize images so they actually show up in the image search, there's a lot of different things to that. You can put tags to the images. You can actually make sure that you name the image with the appropriate keyword. Like, I see so many people that they'll shoot images with their camera, and it gives them a code name for the image of IMG 000085076, or some bizarre number like that. And people don't rename their image to what it is. They just upload it, that IMG funky code. Google doesn't know what that is. Nobody's searching for that IMG code. They don't know about that. They just know what the content of the image is. So if you rename your image to whatever the keyword is that's related to the image, .jpeg or .png or whatever kind of image file you've got, if you don't do that, you're not really helping Google decipher what the image is about so it can index it for you. That's what, search engine's all about, getting indexed and placed properly in accordance with relevance. So that's what you want to do. You want to make your images relevant. You want to make your videos relevant. Same thing with videos. The name of the video is important. It should, relate to what this video is about. And then the image tags, when you get to the alt tags, that's an alternative tag to tell you what that image is. So, in SEO, we used to plug a whole bunch of keywords in there, and basically we'd stuff them with keywords. And that was kind of our tactic for SEO. But nowadays it's much more important to put actually what the image is. Another reason that you want to do this is to avoid lawsuits. And I know that might sound kind of odd, avoid lawsuits, but there's a thing, especially in California, that's going on right now with ADA. And if you haven't heard of that, you should get familiar with it because it's important. It's American Disability Act. And it's a great thing, but in all great things there's evil. And what you've got here is you've got a bunch of lawyers and attorneys that have found a loophole of how to screw people, just like they like to do. And they're going after small businesses that are not ADA compliant and fining them. It's like, you probably heard this a few years back when restaurants were getting fined because they didn't have ADA compliant bathrooms, or they didn't have the ramps to get someone in a wheelchair in and out of their establishment, or they didn't have elevators that were ADA compliant. And it was a big old lawsuit fest, and people were going around identifying businesses and turning them in to get a huge commission, And we're not talking about a few $100 here. We're talking about tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now these guys, these sharks, if you want to call them that, have turned their sights onto website owners. They've pretty much milked all the businesses and forced them all to comply, and put handicap bathrooms in, and you even see it in hotels. Hotels have to offer handicap rooms. So if you show up and you ask for a handicap room, they go out of their way to put you in one because they don't want to get sued. And so anyway, one of the things about ADA compliancy is alt tags on your images. This is so when a blind person comes onto a site, you actually have mechanisms in place to help them consume your content. Otherwise, it's just like the restaurant that doesn't have a wheelchair ramp to get someone in, and it leaves them out in the cold. That's what you're doing on your website if you don't have alt tags in there. The blind person rolls over your image and he can't see it. That is an ADA compliancy violation if you're business to business. If you're just like a personal blog, I don't think it applies. But if you're a business serving customers, this is a big issue. So putting your tags in, it's not just for search. It's to keep, frivolous lawsuits off your back. And I know that really sucks. Here we are. we're small business owners and we're just trying to make a buck. We're trying to get by, and you get all these people out to screw you. So it sucks, but it's a reality. And, you know, same thing with privacy policies. You've got the FTC. These guys, this is a 900-pound gorilla that'll come down on you if you're not compliant. And, you know, if you're selling products to consumers or even to business, it doesn't matter. If you're selling stuff online and your website does not have the compliancy stuff in it, like terms of conditions, privacy policies, all of that stuff, you're open. You are open to a vicious attack. You know, Joe on the call, he talks about the IRS vicious attacks and talks to you about, you know, how to set your business structure up to eliminate that. Well, this is the same thing. It's just in your web business. You've got to eliminate the threat of these idiots coming after you for ridiculous stuff. And it's just a part of life. You know, I don't like it. I think it's absolutely asinine, but it's something you need to know. If you're a small business owner and you're doing business on the web, you need to know that you're putting yourself in jeopardy by not doing this stuff. So it's not just about getting the search listings so you can get traffic and you can make sales and all that. It's about protecting your ass or your assets, or however you want to put that. But ADA compliancy, just know that's a new thing rolling down the pipe, and it's like on the steamroller rails. So you've got these attorneys now hunting websites that are not compliant, and it goes beyond just the tags on the images. There's different stuff, like if your site has a dark background and it's hard to read. Sometimes the blind readers have trouble deciphering it. They can't tell the text from the background and stuff like that. So they have a thing called dark mode that makes it high contrast so they can see it. If they have, you know, visual impairment, they can see that stuff. So anyway, I will send out, I'm compiling some stuff, and I'm actually probably going to either find a service that serves that. Like for the compliancy for FTC, we have FTC Guardian, and you can see that it's on the bottom of my webpage. I've got the link for it and all that. If you guys are, well, you guys are all obviously in the ACT program, so get it through the resources tab, because in there I've got a special deal just for the ACT members where you can buy a lifetime version of it discounted. But what they do, they keep you all up to speed on all your compliancy and stuff. And you know, I'm talking about take the hindsight out of 2020. You don't want 2020 to be the year that you get screwed by one of these frivolous lawsuits. So just, you know, protect yourself. Get that stuff in place. If you haven't done it already, you know, New Year's resolution, get that taken care of. Another, you know, we talked last week about kind of end of the year practices, where I like to go through and I like to look at the past year and all the stuff that I did and make decisions going into the new year. What am I going to do? What am I going to cut out? What worked really well? What didn't work at all? What did I not do that I should have done? What was I doing that I shouldn't have been doing? And just kind of reevaluate so you can give yourself the best shot, the best opportunity for moving forward. And you know, 2020, it's a big year. You know, it's like there's a lot of emotion behind the whole 2020 deal. You know, a lot of people thought, oh, we'll never see 2020, right? Well, it's here. It's just what, a week away or so, a little over a week away. And you know, this is like every year, every New Year's, you have an opportunity to make the next year better than the last. And I know I'm gonna get really aggressive, because I want 2020 to be my personal best year. And I'm going to actually be doing some extra stuff and some extra programs to help anyone that wants to join me in that journey. And I'm going to be making more offers than I ever have. I'm going to be putting together more funnels than I ever have. I'm going to be doing YouTube video ads like I never have. and just doing a lot of stuff that I know will take me up to the next level. And I know you guys want to follow along and be part of that. So a lot of people also, this is kind of a new spark in the SitePop community. We've brought a lot of new people on for SitePop, and many of them want to run agencies. Many of them that want to run those agencies don't have any experience with it. I used to run a thing that we call our reseller division, and I would basically help people run an agency to sell SEO services, and most of them wound up reselling our SEO services. So it was a win-win across the board. I was training them basically to sell, and then allowing them to use me as their back end to fulfill. So we're gonna start that up again in the new year, because that was something that was really good in the past, and for some reason it fizzled out. We just kind of let it die off. But now moving forward with SitePop, and any of you guys, I know a lot of you guys on the call have it already. This has been like the biggest revolutionary breakthrough in SEO that I've seen in my entire career. This thing is working really well, and it's got a long shelf life. It's just getting started. The whole AI is not going to go away anytime soon, and we've had some major wins with this thing. For anybody that doesn't know what it is, it basically sends search signals to Google to connect your brand with keywords, because that's what the AI has figured out. It's figured out if you don't have any brand recognition, you're not important enough for Google to favor you and put you up at the top and send you all their free traffic and referrals. So SitePop fixes that. It shows Google, hey, there are people that know this brand, they're running searches, they know what they're looking for, and you are it. And that makes them want to push you up in the results. When we created the software to do this, we got a lot more out of it than we ever anticipated. Like, we hadn't anticipated that this would work on what's called the 3-pack for local businesses, getting you up in the local recognized 3 top businesses for the community. And it actually is working on that. The reason is, when you create a Google My Business account, you're basically throwing your ring in the hat, or your hat in the ring, whatever, however you say that. You're basically throwing yourself in for a shot at that. So what happens is, if you're not in there, if you don't have a Google My Business page, you don't really have a shot at getting into that kind of stuff. So that's why it's important to set that stuff up, especially if you're a local business, and even if you're not, it's just a good thing to have. It tells them that you're a real business. It connects the website to that business account. That way, the two match each other. So Google knows, hey, there's a real business here to send these people to. It's not just somebody with a blog that is not commercially viable. So, one of the things that you want to do when you create your Google My Business account, you want to fill it out completely. You want to make sure that you fill the whole thing out. Your business hours, your holidays, images, videos, load it all up. Fill in all the blanks. The website that you connect it to is very important, because the more powerful the website is that Google My Business account is, the more likely it is for that Google My Business to show up in the 3-pack. And if you show up in the 3-pack, you get a lot of clicks. All of our companies that are in there, they get a lot of visitors from that 3-pack. A lot of people click on that. And it goes back to what we started this call about, is visual. It gives you higher visual impact in the search. So again, very important. It's another factor. So anyway, that's something that's another benefit that we've gotten. By strengthening the website, it's strengthening the chance of you getting in the 3-pack by using the SitePop. We have tested it on radically competitive keywords. And I'm going to butcher this name. but it's the name of the disease when you have lung cancer from asbestos. It's mesothelioma or something like that. I butcher the name every time. But that is an incredibly competitive keyword. For any of you guys that saw the movie recently, Dark Waters, that was about DuPont and the Teflon. And basically the Teflon made a lot of the employees sick, and they went to war, and they basically won a lawsuit against DuPont proving that the Teflon caused the cancer and caused all these diseases, and they won a case in perpetuity. And what that means is anybody from that point on, anybody that comes down with that disease because they were exposed to DuPont's Teflon, after the lawsuit, anybody that comes down with it can come back and get an automatic award without even having to fight for it because it's already predetermined. They won. So this mesothelioma is the same thing going back to asbestos. So basically, an attorney, all they have to do is find a person that's got that disease, and it's a multi-million-dollar judgment, automatic. It's already been won. They just have to find the person, and it's like putting $1 million in their pocket or more. So that's why that keyword is so incredibly competitive, because how much is an attorney willing to pay to get a referral for somebody with that, and they know they can put $1 million in their pocket? You think they'd pay quite a bit to get that? I think so. That's why pay per click for that keyword, several $100s per click. They don't care. All they need is one. If it takes 100 people to pay $300 a click, they're in $300,000. It doesn't matter. They just turned it into $1 million or multi-million. It's a good investment. So anyway, long story short, we had a client that was optimizing for that. They've been doing it for years. They'd never been able to get past page 2. Well, with SitePop, in addition to what they were already doing, they're now sitting number 1 for that keyword. I mean, that's phenomenal beyond words. So anybody that ever questioned whether it works, it works. There's no question. There's absolutely no doubt. The small handful of people that it hasn't worked on yet, that's the only thing. It hasn't worked yet. If you don't have any kind of trust factor, if you've got a site that has not been seen in Google yet, Google doesn't value it for anything, it's just going to take a while for that process to happen, just like any other SEO process. There's always a time frame based. If you use SitePop on a site that's already got traction, it generally works pretty quickly. Sometimes it'll go negative for a while and then it'll come back positive, but it's always worked. So anyway, we can go ahead and open up for questions. I see Chris is asking a question about SitePop and the amount of phones. We were able to lower the number of phones required per project. When we first started out, we needed 3 connected to get 500 searches a month, just because our network had not grown big enough yet. Now that the network is pretty big, we've lowered that to 2 phones. So basically each phone or computer, whatever you connect with the app, you're getting roughly about 250 searches per device now, instead of the lower, I think it was 133 or 166. So you're getting 250 per device. We've kind of kicked the idea around of going down to 1, but we're not quite ready to do that yet. And the other thing is, a lot of the phones are not connected all the time. Like, they're getting turned off at night. Computers are getting turned off during the afternoon, evening, stuff like that. So if you've only got 1 device connected and it goes offline, basically you're not getting anything scheduled for the next day. So you're going to lose out on all your searches. So we believe it's best regardless to have 2 devices per project. That way, if one of them goes down, you've still got one connected, you've still got searches being scheduled for the next day. Because we basically, we took out the instantaneous getting searches for a connection, because we had some people, what they would do, they would connect a device, they would start getting searches, they would disconnect it and connect it to another project, trying to game our system, and we can't do that. The math doesn't work out for that. So we saw a handful of people doing that. We had to nip that in the butt. So now basically you have to have a device connected, and when it's connected, it's basically acquiring credits to be delivered the next day. So if that device gets unplugged and plugged into another one, it kills it kills basically the next day's searches for you. So we did it so we wouldn't have people gaming the system and basically overusing our resources and robbing the people that were doing things legitimately. So I really think 2 devices per project should give you a rock solid amount of searches every month. So let's see. Android, does the software auto launch and run on reboot? Yes, it should do that. So when your phone reboots, the SitePop software, which is called Marketing Assistant on the app, it should run in the background automatically. Now, what we've been doing, we've been buying a lot of cheap phones for clients and to run in our own office. And one of the problems with the really cheap phones, like we're talking 20 bucks, I just got 10 of them delivered yesterday from Target, $19.95 each. So I got 10 of these brand new cheap phones, and I will run those as backup phones on our commercial clients. Like they're supposed to have devices connected. Well, sometimes they don't, they turn them off or whatever at night. And I just leave one connected for each client just to make sure. These are like end users paying me, not people that have bought the software. So I'm doing this as an agency for my paying clients. And I've got a whole bank of them sitting over here. And the cheap phones, one of the things I can tell you, the cheap phones have some glitches to them. So occasionally you've got to restart them. Sometimes they don't auto update. The good phones, like the expensive phones, we haven't had hardly any issues at all with those. But the cheap phones, the $20 phones, hey, it's like anything else. You get what you pay for. They do require a little more attention. Let's see, and the Windows also, the Windows should automatically start on a reboot as well. Another thing too, if you restart and you log out, it's also set to hold your information, so you don't have to retype your email and your code and your project code. So that's a cool thing. So you don't have to keep looking it up and remembering it and all that. Okay.
One of the updates lately, within the last week, I had to restart uninstall Marketing Assistant and reinstall it to get it to work again, because it kept saying it needed an update and would never work.
Yeah,
but it was the cheap phone, of course.
Yeah, I had that on a couple of mine too, and the easy fix for it, you didn't really have to uninstall it, but if you go to the Play Store, it has a list of the apps that are running that have updates. You could have just gone to the list and clicked update. It would have updated it.
Oh, I did update it, and it still said it needed an update after I updated.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I got a whole slew of them over here. But we had a lot of people on the support forum, and that so far that's pretty well worked for everybody. I haven't heard of anybody having to uninstall, but that's that's a long run solution. If you can't get something to work, just there's a glitch somewhere, and you're probably more likely to get a glitch like that in the cheaper phones. So again, just uninstall, reinstall, and you should be back in business.
Uninstall and reboots fix most all your issues.
Yeah.
Hey, John, once you have the system installed, how do you quantify reports and such that they're getting value from the installation or the smart, basically the account, the system that you set up?
Oh, the app that the customer installs on their phone actually shows them live their keyword ranking. So they can check it anytime they want. They can see that, their keywords moving up, or in some cases they move down and then back up. But it's live right on the phone, so they can see it.
And that's assuming that their site is optimized, basically, or does it even matter?
It doesn't. Well, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but SitePop works regardless of whether the site is optimized or not, because it's sending a third of the optimization signal. So the site is being optimized regardless when SitePop is running. But it's not, it's not doing your on-page optimization, and it's not doing link building. It's sending the search signals, which is about a third of the algorithm.
Got it. And then how much is the pricing that I should charge clients if we're going to be setting up the service for them, typically as retail?
It's really up to any given agency. We've got people selling it anywhere from, I've heard as low as $47, and I've heard up as high as $497 per project per month. And that is an incredible markup, because in the agency version, you can buy the agency version and buy them wholesale for about $4 a month per project. So to take a $4 thing and charge $100 for it, or up to $500, there's never been, that I can remember, there's never been an opportunity like that in the SEO world that actually worked.
Yeah, and is there a way to have like a presentation to customize to, or to send to a client, or walk them through like a PowerPoint to explain, the simplicity of the process?
Yeah, we actually have that. That was one of the things, because a lot of the agencies that bought SitePop, they're wanting that kind of support. So I was going to revive my old reseller program for them, and anybody that was interested in all of that, I would go through and I just build out all those materials for them and help train them. And because a lot of people want to run an agency, but they don't have any sales skills. That's like the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing in business in general. If you don't know how to sell stuff, it doesn't matter how good a thing you've got, whether it's a product or a service. If you can't sell it, you really don't have a viable business model.
Right.
So that's what I'm going to help them with, is the actual sales process, because there is a sales process to it for sure.
Yeah. So do you think SitePop is actually a better start for a client instead of Kartra? I mean, obviously you have to have a site that has a convertible page, converting page, but do you think the SitePop is simpler to set up than Kartra for most businesses?
Oh yeah, I mean, SitePop is really a set it and forget it type thing. Kartra is a very involved marketing back end. I mean, it's a base for them to run their business off of and do marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
So they're not even really in the same world.
Yeah.
SitePop is an optimization tool to optimize a website to get traffic, and Kartra is about building marketing campaigns. So they really, they're completely different animals. If you were starting an agency though to acquire customers, SitePop is an incredible front end offer.
Yeah.
For you to offer an SEO service to a customer that actually works for $97 a month, that's a no-brainer. That's like a loss leader. And what I tell people is that I use it as a gateway drug to me. Like, I'll sell them on that, and I'm like, well, if you have this in place, then I will take a look at your whole website. I'll make recommendations. And when you get in the door, like, a lot of people already have an SEO company, so they're not going to fire their SEO company and hire you. But when you come in with something like SitePop and you say, I have a tool, or I have a service that I can run on your site, you don't have to change anything. You can keep your SEO guys. All this is going to do, it's going to make what they're doing actually work for $90. And guess what? When you're the guy that comes in and you're the one that actually puts them on the first page, guess what they're going to want to know next? How much for you to just take over my SEO?
Right.
Then it's easy. And then you look at the next step. You go, okay, well, SEO is one thing, but what about your conversion? You look at their site and you go, this site, it doesn't matter how much traffic we dump on it, you're not going to get any conversion out of this site. What was your expectations? You know, what did you want the site to do? You want to, you know, replicate something that works in your business? If that's the case, we've got to do that on your site. We have to build a site that will replicate that process. Not just, you know, throw up an info page and expect people to just stumble on there and want to buy stuff. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
People need to be sold. You know, that's what marketing is. If you have good marketing in place, you don't really need salespeople because people are ready to buy. You just need order takers. A website can take an order, but you've got to get them wanting it first. And that's where most people drop the ball. They skip that whole in-between process and they put a website up to sell stuff. But really, they're only putting up a website to take an order. There's nothing in place to actually do the selling.
Yeah. So I have a new client that basically she's published a book. She has some public speaking skills that she wants to launch. And she's got a producer that's interested in a movie. Do you think I should set them up with a Kartra system instead of her Wix? She has a Wix website, and I'm telling her, well, you really need to upgrade to a comparable system like WordPress or Kartra to be able to, you know, close, you know, your business. And she has an Amazon account that she sells the book on. But what do you think would be the best recommendation for a one-person show like that?
I would think like the Wix sites, these things they're horrible from the back end. They're great from the front end. They're easy to do. It basically allows anybody with no skills to build a pretty website.
That's what she has now. Yeah.
But they're horrible from a back end perspective because you don't own the site. That site is hosted on Wix Cloud with a Wix template. You really can't change any of that. You can change things based on their template. But like if you want to upload, you know, widgets and stuff and all that, you're out of luck. If you want to do like advanced SEO on page, you're out of luck. I think the best combination is to create like a WordPress site, which is very easy to take a Wix site and convert it to WordPress with Beaver Builder and make it very easy to edit, just like the Wix site.
Yeah.
And then use Kartra for all of your marketing stuff. Originally, I was going to use Kartra for an entire website, and I did that. I actually built my entire website out using Kartra. And one of the things that I found was because of the inherent nature of Kartra, the pages don't load really fast. And that's bad for optimization. So what I decided to do was rather than try and build the site in a slow loading thing like Kartra, because Kartra is doing all kinds of advanced things behind the scenes. So it's not built to be lickety split. It's built to be highly effective and follow up and do all kinds of advanced automations and things. And it does that stuff really well. But from a website perspective, you want the website to load fast and rank well. So I prefer to build the site in WordPress. It's just easy. It gives you all the options to put plugins in to do whatever you want to do, optimize-wise, conversion-wise, all that. And then I'll take the buttons out of Kartra and I'll just put the buttons in the WordPress site. So when you click the button from the WordPress site that's ranking well, then the Kartra page loads and takes an order or whatever. And then the automation goes into play after that. So that's what I like to do as far as like a sequence of how I like to move people into a better system. That's the better system.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to get her budget. It's going to be reasonable for us, and if we can get the Kartra thing where she's getting value out of that, that would be a nice residual referral too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, Chris wants to know, he's got Android phones that he's bought, a mix of TCL A1s, Alexas, and the Blades. Chris, I have a mix of those three as well. And what I've found, they all work perfectly fine. But what I have found of those three, I think the LX is probably the most stable. That's the one I've had the least issues with. Not to say they've been completely trouble-free, but one of the things I'll do when I originally get the phone, I remove everything off of it. One of the things that we found that was tripping things up is the weather app. The weather app does all kinds of updates and notifications and stuff, and we've just found that some of it was blocking the site pop for some reason. I have no idea why. But when we eliminated all of those, we took off, all the games, all that stuff, the more we took off, the less the phones failed. And the less we had to restart them or reconnect them and all that. So that is that's one of the things. As soon as I light one up, I'll just go through the apps and start removing stuff. Anything I don't need, it's gone. And the weather app's kind of hard to get rid of. It won't allow you to just uninstall it or put it in the trash. You have to disable it, and then you have to force stop, and then it will be gone. So there's a couple of the apps that are like that. When they're preloaded and pre-built in, you have to go a couple extra steps to kill them and get rid of them. But that's kind of the deal. Let's see. Okay, the LX. I have found that they all connect when rebooted. I'll have to test that. I'll see. But what I do is I just start it by default, because these phones are just sitting here. They're just sitting in my office. So I'll start them by default. Another thing that I found that has a lot less disconnects is if you leave the screens on. If you go into the settings and turn the screen to never go to sleep, and you just leave the screens run, because I just leave them plugged in anyway, so they're not eating up any battery juice. And that seems to be a good trick too. All right, anybody else? You guys got any stuff you want to get out in the open here before we get to the end of the year? Any ramp ups or ideas?
Hi, John.
Hey, Gregory, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Things are going. My trading is getting better. I found an exit key that works. The other thing is the Spanish film project is moving forward. I have an appointment at 12 o'clock to talk to them, so I'll be breaking up in a few minutes. And the other thing is, I after the first of the year, I definitely need to get with you and sign up for the website stuff and get that back on track.
Okay.
And my my question is, are we meeting next week? before I disconnect.
Are we getting what?
Are we meeting next week?
Oh, yes, we are. That's what I said in the beginning of the call. We got one more call before the end of the year, so it'll be the day after Christmas, I believe.
Friday?
I think it's Thursday.
Thursday, okay.
Let me look. Yeah, I think Christmas is on Wednesday this year.
Okay, right.
So yeah,
Thank
the
you.
Thursday
I confirmed that.
We'll be on regular time, day after Christmas. So we got one more before the end of the year, so everybody gets to make the most of it.
Well, I'll say my Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next Friday. So I'll hang in as long as I can, then I get a break off. Thank you.
Right. Well, cool. I was going to have you look at something too. There's a
Sure.
There's a new thing. Well, I don't know if it's new, but it's out.
Right.
This friend of mine, he's into every MLM thing that comes down the line. there's an MLM trading program that's
Oh,
trading Forex. And
really?
they're claiming they've got all these stop losses in it, and it's like guaranteed to make
Uh,
3 to 5% per week. And I'm like,
okay, that's feasible.
okay.
That is feasible in the forex market. Very
And then
true.
I guess once it hits its goal, it just shuts off for the week. So it hits its goal, it guarantees it's off, it's out, and then the next week it does it again. And
Yes.
they're they're talking about putting $1,000 in and let it do its thing. But then the program costs $200 a month to run the program, and I'm thinking, well, if you have $1,000 in and you're making 3% per week, that's not even going to cover your cost of the program.
No, no, no. And many people ask me about what's about the average, what's the minimum that you get even the options. 3,000 is like really the bare minimum, but 5,000 is recommended.
Okay.
So
Cool.
for the forex thing, I could see that if you do 5,000 and they're pulling out 3%, then you're making enough to just barely enough to cover your overhead and make a little bit of profit. But unfortunately, that's like any other business. The more you put in and the more it works for you, the more return.
Yeah. They were talking about the compounding effect, and if you let 1,000 run for 3 years, you'd have like 700,000. I'm like, yeah, somebody doesn't know how to do their math there.
Well, the other thing too is even with my algorithm that I'm using for scanning and getting trades and all, there's nothing that's 100% going to be a winner. So 3% consistency, that's possible, providing that there's the laws of probability of the weekly trades. But the end result is if somebody says 100% returns and in 30 days,
Yeah. So anyway, I'll connect you over with the link. You can check it out, see what you think.
Please. I would like to, because I still have my other monkey here on gumshoe stocks, and I have a thing called the Trade System Investigators.
Oh, okay.
I still run that every once in a while when I run into somebody and I reverse engineer their trading program to see if it's really workable or not.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, that'll give you one to go in and see if you can tear it up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
Awesome.
Next.
All right.
Thank you, John. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too. All right. Anybody else?
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead, Gwen.
Just a quick question regarding, I heard you speak earlier about revamping your whole presentation for SitePop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I had been emailing you about the 2 clients I wanted to touch base with this month. Should I wait and do that maybe after you get that revamped, or?
Well, actually, you might be the one that spawns it on.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, just hit me up on that, because I actually have the presentations. They're already like done for different markets.
Uh-huh.
So it's probably just a matter of a slight tweak, and we're there. So
Okay, well that'd be cool, because I would like to send that out and see if I can refan a flame from last December.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got 2 different versions. I've got the one that we did that equates it to NLP, like how to hypnotize Google and
Mm-hmm.
to send you referrals. And then I've got one, Michelle's on the call here. She connected me with her. She's in the pool industry, and I did a SitePop presentation basically to the pool people, and it did really well. I think there was like 40 people in the room that saw the presentation, and I think we did 10 sales, so it closed.
Well, that's pretty good.
25%. And it was, it was dialed into them. It had pool images, and I used a picture of somebody drowning, with their hands stuck up through the water, like help. So, and it's like anything else, whoever you're presenting to, there's a lot of markets, a lot of industry markets that you could potentially get the opportunity to speak to. And there is just nothing better than that. that is just, really solid as far as sales, to speak to a group of people that you know who they are and what they want. Like when I got to speak at the American Dental Association in Colorado, and it was an incredible close ratio. I think it was like 34% of the room. And it was because I knew specifically who was in the room and I talked directly to them. So, it's kind of hard to do at a chamber meeting because you've got all kinds of variations of who's there. But if you can get with groups like professional organizations, like what Michelle runs, she runs a professional organization for pool builders and pool maintenance guys. And if you can find those kind of opportunities, those are golden opportunities. Find the industry leaders and come in as the professional and speak for them. It helps them, it helps you, it helps the people you're speaking to. So, because they all need that. They need to find the professionals that can help their members. That gives them value to the members. That keeps the members coming back. So that's the biggest opportunity, is finding those if you can get them. And they're everywhere. They're not hard to find. I'm just lazy, like Michelle dropped that one in my lap. I wasn't out hunting for it, but I'm like, man, I wish I could, I wish I had 10 of her to do this. And quite honestly, they're out there. You just have to get a little more aggressive in finding them, letting them know what you're doing. And, that's how that came about. She knew what I was doing, and she just invited me over for that. So the more people that you can get to know what you're doing, the more of those kind of opportunities will just fall in your lap like that one did. So that's the thing. Like last week we talked about, specifically, to increase your output, you have to increase the things that drive that. Like ask yourself, how many offers did I make? How many mailings did I do? How many presentations? How many people did I talk to? If you want better results, those are the kind of things that you've got to just do more of. Because it's, everything comes down to a math game. It's all just about the numbers. So the more people you can communicate with, the more people you can communicate your value with, the more people it will take advantage of that. And that's opportunity for you. And that's across the board. That's with any business. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're not talking to new people, you're not creating those opportunities to move forward. If you're not making offers to the people that already know you, you're not leveraging opportunities that are sitting on the table. If you're not offering more to the people that are already buying from you, you're not leveraging an opportunity that's sitting right on the table again. There's a lot of stuff that we can do very easily to grow our businesses. And most of it's just sitting there, literally sitting right in front of us. And I am the most guilty person in the room when it comes to that, because I've just been so lackadaisical and so, just so lazy, to be quite honest with you, in what I've done to spread my wings and grow my business. But like I said, 2020, I'm going to change the name of that tune. I'm going to stop singing that story, and I'm going to change that to a new story. And hopefully a lot of you guys will come along for that ride and fly right next to me. I need some wingmen here. Wing women.
Sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna jump on and get the momentum started, and hopefully it will rub off on everyone. So, all right. Anything else here? Okay, Chris wants to know. Okay, in the support area, I think, Chris, you might want to hop into the support area, and there's a new link in there about managing multiple devices, and we've got several screenshots and step-by-step on how to turn that stuff on, how to keep the screen on, how to do all of that stuff. So check that out, and then if you have any specific questions, let me know. But like I said, those cheaper devices, they've been, you know, they're not as good as the expensive devices. But the good thing is they're cheap, and you can have a bunch of them. So anyway, Apple iOS. Okay, the deal with the Apple device. We spent a ton of money developing the iOS app for SitePop. As soon as we got it up and running, it was a pain in the butt to get it in there in the Apple Store and all of that stuff. But as soon as we did that and got it up and running, we had spent all that money because everybody said they wanted it. And the reality was when we released it, we looked at the figures of our entire network. It was only about 5% of the devices that were active in the network. So we spent all that money to grow the network by 5%, and within a very short time frame, Apple changed the way they're doing their apps, and they kill all processes after about 10 minutes, which made it absolutely worthless. So we wasted all that time and effort. We didn't increase the network. And now, you know, it's just not worth for us to dump more money into trying to solve a problem that they're just going to keep shooting down. So we don't have any current iOS apps in the works because of that. And they didn't target us. It was not us. It was everyone. Like even the Facebook app, it can't get the notifications. It can't stay open more than 10 minutes. It gets automatically killed. So it just really does not make sense from a business perspective for us to pursue that. And I don't think, quite honestly, I don't think anyone would want to pay for us to do it either. It would make the cost of the product at least twice or 3 times more than what we're charging for it. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And yeah, Gregory, Merry Christmas to you. I know you got to go. So and everybody else, but anyway, that's the deal with the iOS app. I wish I had different news on it, but the reality was there wasn't that many people that were using it. They happened to be the ones that were screaming the loudest. But yeah, the cheap Android devices is an easy way around that. So good stuff. All right, guys, anything else before we wrap up? And
no, I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Oh, well, thank you, Callie, and you too. You and Chris have a great one, and everybody on the call, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. If I don't see you before the New Year, Happy New Year. But I hope I see you guys all on the call next week. So
yeah, sounds good.
We'll get one more run at it before the end of the year.
Thank you.
All right, guys, have a great week and happy holidays, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.